I didn't see anyone else. Okay, that's fine. We've admitted everybody so far. All right. I'm going to welcome everybody to, excuse me, we have one new person who just came in. Mr. Tilton, we're going to check your sound. Can you hear?
Hi, Alan. How are you?
Good, we hear you fine, thank you. Okay, start this again. Welcome to Candidates Night for Kingston. And obviously due to the pandemic, we're participating through Zoom, which is a little different from our regular Candidates Night. The exciting thing is that if you guys go past your time limit, we can now mute you, which you've never been able to do in the past. So a little plus for us. My name's Ellen Faulkner. I'm going to be your moderator. Adam Faulkner is in the booth helping us with letting people into the waiting room and taking care of the sound levels, et cetera. We have candidates for position for the town and school district have been invited to attend this evening. Candidates who are unopposed for their elected positions will not be participating in the question and answer, but they will be given a few moments to to introduce themselves to the voters and give a brief statement. Candidates who are not opposed are those candidates running for the school district budget committee, the municipal budget committee, and the select board or board of selectmen, depending on your preference. Questions have been received either by email or by being dropped off at the town hall. In reviewing them, similar questions have been sort of morphed together into one question. So while you may not see the exact wording of your question, hopefully the intent will be there. Guidelines for the evening have been sent to all of the candidates. Each candidate is going to be allowed an opening statement. Questions will be asked by myself. And when a candidate is asked a question, they're going to be unmuted and given 1 minute to respond, and then they'll be muted again. So no one will be able to interrupt each other while they're speaking. I suggest everybody give a brief pause to give us time to unmute you before you start speaking when you don't want to miss anything that you might be saying. Each candidate is going to be given time for a closing statement. I'm going to start tonight by announcing the candidates who are unopposed and allow them to give a brief statement. Anyone who asks to do that. I'm going to start with the school district candidates who are present and give them the opportunity to speak. This evening, we do have an unusual circumstance that just occurred that I wanted to tell everybody ahead of time. We do have a candidate who's running for the Sanborn Regional School District Budget Committee, who I received paperwork from the school district that he was a candidate. I have not received any information from the school district that he has not. However, the candidate was kind enough to contact me to say there was a discrepancy when he signed up so that he will not be on the ballot, but he is going to be a write-in candidate. So based on that and based on the fact that I haven't been given anything officially from the school district, I am going to still allow him to participate this evening. So we'll get to that later, but I did want to put that out there so everybody would be aware of that and it wouldn't be something I forgot to mention later in the evening. Everybody all set so far? I don't see anybody. Oh, I do also want to tell you that to save some of the bandwidth for this evening, anyone who's not a candidate, we have blocked out your video on the screen. You can still hear everything, but it's just that way it doesn't, right. So that way, sorry, I'm getting information from someone about that candidate we were talking about, but I don't know who's sending it, and I can't really address it right now during tonight's meeting. So we looked like we're all set. Okay. We're going to start with Mr. I'm going to mess up your name and I apologize. Mr. Delsmelik, who's a candidate for school district moderator. So he is unopposed at this point. So we would like to unmute him. Adam, if you can find him. You got it? He seems to be all set. Did you unblock his video? Perfect. Okay, so if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Ms. Faulkner. And not too bad. It's Des Mellick, and even everyone has trouble saying it, so don't feel bad.
Thank you.
I am running for the position of school district moderator. I've served in the town of Newton for 18 years as Newton's moderator, so I'm obviously familiar with the process. And I'm really just seeking the office for a couple reasons. First and foremost, I believe in the importance of enabling as many people as possible to participate in our democratic process locally. And so my goal will be to run the deliberative sessions, which is the main job of the school district moderator, in a way that is fair and impartial, lets people have a chance to speak, and lets the voters that are present work out the decisions they want to make as the voters in the deliberative session. So that's pretty much it. And I'm looking forward for everyone's support on election day. Thank you.
Thank you. The next candidate for school district position is Ms. Bashaw. She's a candidate for the school board, also running unopposed. So if you give us a moment you're all set.
How's that? Okay. My name is Maura Bashaw. I am currently running for school board. I am currently a member of the school budget committee. If I am elected, I would resign from the budget committee. I have 3 kids in the school system. I have a 3rd, 4th, and 5th grader. I'm also a Sanborn graduate of the old seminary building. And I also own a business in town. So I see things from a lot of different angles. I see it from a taxpayer standpoint, a business standpoint, and also as a parent in town. My husband and I, we coach a lot of local sports teams. I've been on the Boosters Club. So I've been pretty involved in the school district, what goes on, and I'm just looking forward to taking it up to the next level, being on the school board. So I'd appreciate your vote next week. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for what we have for the unopposed school district candidates. So next we'll be going to candidates who are unopposed for Kingston. We have 2 available positions for the planning board, and we have 2 candidates. So we'll start with Mr. Coffin, who's a candidate for both the planning board and the zoning board of adjustment. We're all set with Peter.
Hi. I'm Peter Coffin. I feel like I represent the people of the town when I'm on these boards, and protecting property rights for everybody, not just the applicant. We do follow all the procedures and rules of the town. Thank you.
And the other candidate for one of the positions is Ms. Duguay. Did you, okay. Should be all set, Robin.
All set. So I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to have served the last 2 years. It's been an excellent learning experience for me, and thank you to my colleagues on this call who have been part of that process and who have been patient along the way. I look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve on the planning board.
Thank you. And for the office of town clerk's tax collector is Tammy Bakey. Adam, Tammy's video isn't on. Is that because of us or because of Tammy? Oh, there we go.
Here I am. Hi, I am Tammy Bakey. I am your town clerk tax collector for the last 4 years. And before that, I worked for the police department for 14 years. I look forward to serving again as your town clerk tax collector. If you ever have any questions or concerns, you can reach me at 642-3112 extension 2, or just come down to the town hall. We're wide open and there are no appointments necessary. Thank you.
Okay, now, based on people's return emails, I don't have any other candidate who's running unopposed who told me that they are going to be here today and wish to speak. If that is incorrect and there is someone here that I'm unaware of, please jump up and down, say something, wave. There's a raised hand option that you can try. Adam's checking for me, but I don't see anything. No? Okay. If that's wrong, call the town hall, call the planning board office. So I hear a ring, I'll know someone's trying to get in touch with us. Okay. So now we have candidate races. So what I'm going to do is announce the position. Then I'm going to call on each candidate for their opening statement before I start beginning the questions. Each candidate has up to 2 minutes for their opening statement. And just give us a second to make sure that you're on once I call your name. So we're going to start with the School District Budget Committee. One of those candidates, Mr. Anthony, is the one who appears to be on the ballot, but may not be registered. I do not have the capability at this point of checking on any of that information. So since this is new information to me, we're going to let him participate this evening. So the person we're starting with alphabetically is Mr. Anthony. So if you'd like to give us your opening statement, Adam, oh, you got him all set? He might have his own, there you go. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Ken Anthony, and I am...
Mr. Anthony, you might need to get closer to your microphone or see if you need to turn up the volume on your computer.
It's being done for me, so... Is that better?
That seems a little better.
My name is Ken Anthony, and I was informed today by the town hall that I did not register in time to be a candidate tonight. So I would like to continue to run as a write-in candidate, and I appreciate your allowing me to be here to answer questions. I've owned my own home here in Kingston for 20 years. My family has been here since 1933, 4 generations. I have an associate's degree in business management, a bachelor's degree in business finance, and a master's degree in mental health counseling. I've worked as a municipal auditor, as a school accountant for the town of Andover, Massachusetts, and as a town accountant for the town of North Andover. After I got my master's, I went to work in the psychological center, and I operated a budget of $5 million and had a staff of 40 people. We took care of chronically mentally ill adults for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And right now I own my own business. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I work independently. I learned of the...
Mr. Anthony, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I am being notified by several people that they really are having trouble hearing you, so you might need to speak up a little bit.
Sorry, not used to doing this.
I understand.
I learned the testing results in the Sanborn schools, and I was quite shocked. I believe that education is the basis for all of us to get anywhere in this life. I strongly believe that children aren't going to have a good start in life if they don't have a strong education behind them. And I believe that my experience working with municipal audits and municipal accounts will help me to make sure that our tax dollars is being spent appropriately in the school department, to make sure that the children get the best education, and at the same time that we can all still live here in Kingston and keep the taxes affordable. And I'm very happy to be here tonight, and I'm very happy to be telling you that I'd like you to vote for me in a write-in capacity and in the local election. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, is it Ms. Matthias? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Adam, can you? She's all set. Thank you.
It's Matthias.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So thank you for letting me be here. I guess this is new that you guys invited the school candidates, so I appreciate that very much. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Vanessa Matthias, and I'm running for the incumbent seat on the Sanborn Budget Committee. I've served on the Budget Committee these last 2 years, and I'm interested in serving again. For those of you who don't know me, my husband and I moved to Newton back in 2006, and we've lived in Kingston since 2015. I have 3 boys within our district, one at Bakey, one at the middle school, and my oldest at the high school. We are so proud of our community and try to get involved as much as our dual working schedules will allow. I've helped volunteer on the Memorial PTO, the Baker Boosters, as well as serving on the Budget Committee. We own a business previously in Kingston and now located in Brentwood. I understand the struggles of our higher property taxes being a homeowner and a business owner. I want to help find a way to offset those taxes without the sacrifice to our children's education. I believe that all who serve our community need to keep an open mind. We must remain respectful of the concerns of the community as a whole and learn to balance those concerns with the role that we've been elected to fill. Above all, I believe that we all need to learn how to work together towards a common goal. I am extremely effective in working together with many various personalities and can help find a common goal for everyone in our community. In the recent years, I see a very strong divide amongst the community, and I believe that we need to learn how to work with one another in order to get things done. I hope I'll have your support and your vote on March 9th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next will be the opening statements from the Kingston Municipal Budget Committee. Candidates include Gary Finnerty, who is unable to attend this evening, Stacy Dion, Nick Hilfer, Tricia Tidd, and Sean Tilton. So Ms. Dion, if you give us a moment to make sure that you're not muted. Oh, Adam says it's okay.
Yep.
Give us your opening statement.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Stacy Dion. I'm running for the Kingston Budget Committee. I've lived in Kingston for the past 3 years. I was in pharmaceutical and medical device industry and managed my own departments in those industries with budgets and getting budgets approved. And now I'm looking to get more involved in the town of Kingston. So I would appreciate your vote on March 9th for the Budget Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Mr. Hilfer. Can you find?
Thank you, Ellen.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Hilfer, Leonard Hilfer. All my friends call me Nick, so please call me Nick. And I am running for a budget committee seat. I decided to throw my hat in the ring for the budget committee position after learning that one of the seats was otherwise going to be unfilled. I work as a program manager for Raytheon Integrated Defense Systems, where I have budget accountability for roughly $125 million annually across several of our DCS and FMS contracts. I have a background in naval engineering as well as a master's in business administration and have a strong command of finance, accounting, planning, and general management. I live in the Presidential Estates neighborhood and have a wife and 3 children who attend school in our district, and we're all active members of the Kingston community. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Tidd. Adam, is she? Oh, sorry.
I think so, right?
Yep, you're all set.
Okay, so thank you. Hi, I'm Trish Tidd, running for Budget Committee. I am a lifelong resident of Kingston. I'm a homeowner, taxpayer, and really I believe that taxes are a major burden for most of us, but it's really important that we find a balance because for most of us, our homes are our biggest asset. So making sure that we have that balance where we can keep our taxes where we can afford them, but also making sure that our home values maintain their value by having the necessary services, supporting our first responders, making sure that our schools and all of those essential services are there when we need them, and also making sure that we ensure that the environment, the atmosphere that we all love in Kingston, why we chose to live here, is maintained, that we maintain that environment. A little bit about myself, I'm a graduate of Sanborn. I attended and graduated from St. Anselm College, New England College of Optometry. I'm an adjunct faculty member. I teach in the biology department at Manchester Community College. And I also am a small business owner here in Kingston. You can see my threads behind me. I own a design business, Togate Designs. I also am a volunteer in the community. I volunteer with a scholarship program and also the Community Children's Fund, which provides warm clothing for kids. So I thank you for your consideration and I hope I get your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Tilton, if you'd like to give your opening statement.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Shaw Tilton, and I'm running for a position on the Budget Committee and also for the trustee of the trust fund, but that's unopposed. I serve as a treasurer on the Kingston Conservation Committee, having been appointed by the Board of Selectmen back in September of 2020. First, my general reason for running for the budget committee and the trustee of the trust fund is because I believe in the importance of serving in the community in which I live. Overall, I want to ensure the well-being of our town and to maintain and improve the quality of life we enjoy in Kingston. My specific reasons for wanting to serve on the budget committee are to help our town make sound financial decisions and expenditures through appropriate evaluation. Maintaining quality of town services is essential. In my experience, we have some great departments and people who work for those departments. And I know each of us in town also work hard to provide for ourselves and families, and therefore want to ensure that any money we provide in taxes is spent wisely and fiscally responsible. I want to help provide the voting community with the information and recommendations to make informed decisions about these town budgets and expenditures. About me, currently I'm a clinical social worker and am in business for myself. In the past, I've also run my own construction company. I'm aware of the challenges of earning a paycheck and the desire to have my taxes used in the most efficient and sound manner. I've worked in various other positions where I've been responsible for developing and maintaining large budgets, such as serving as a director in the Department of Veterans Affairs. What I bring to this position is an open mind for dialogue and curiosity to learn and become educated about any process I'm involved in. I work to bring in an objective point of view in order to achieve desired outcomes. Also, I really like numbers and I really like understanding the details behind the numbers. So I appreciate your consideration of my candidacy for both of those. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Last, but certainly not least, is the Select Board for the Town of Kingston. Candidates are Michael Matigabis, who is unable to attend this evening, Philip Coombs, Daniel Doyle, and Kevin St. James. Mr. Coombs, your opening statement, please.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Phil Coombs. I was born and raised here in Kingston. I was a former inmate of the Sanborn Seminary and turned out okay. I went to college out of Colorado State University, got my bachelor's in history, and then served as a captain in the United States Army, did 5.5 years there. After that, was a project manager in construction and continued to do that until we were always kind of running a hobby farm, homestead farm, and wanted to go full time with it. So that's what I do now. We're over on the old LaBranch property that the town put in conservation. We're slowly pulling that out of the abyss. And so I have served the past 3 years. Currently, I'm the chairman of the Kingston Board of Selectmen. And the reason I'm running is I feel that I bring a perspective as a small business owner that sometimes doesn't get looked at. But especially with a background in project management, I look at problems and try and fix them. That's the big thing. There are a lot of things in the town that need to be updated and upgraded and just issues that need to be tackled. And so that's why I would like you to consider having me on for 3 more years. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Doyle, if you'd like to give us your opening statement. Adam says you're
Absolutely. My name is Dan Doyle, running for selectman. I grew up in the Midwest, attended University of Colorado, go CU, sorry for CSU there. Had my undergraduate and graduate work in engineering. From there, I worked for a large construction company doing high rises and large construction projects. From there, I was a teacher for a period of time, taught at a local junior college, community college in the Denver area, and taught in the Department of Corrections, a maximum security prison. From there, I was a Colorado State Trooper for quite a few years, and I was recruited into the United States Secret Service. So I retired from the Secret Service in August of 2017. Got tired of chasing presidents around for 20 plus years, and I have 2 little ones, one at Bakey and one at Memorial, and it was time to spend time with my kids. So So I moved to Kingston in August of 2017. Sorry, I retired from the Secret Service in 2019. From there, I served as the school resource officer for the Sanborn Regional School District and on the Kingston Police Department. And then recently, I took a position as the safety and facilities manager for the Sanborn Regional School District. One of the reasons why I'm running for selectman is our selectmen are doing a great job right now. I have no issues, but I feel like we need to push it a little bit further and bring some new ideas into it. I'm all about the younger kids in our community and young couples, bringing them back to our community and making this a very friendly community for small mom and pop businesses and developing some parks and playgrounds. Now that we're dealing with COVID issues, people are spending more time outside, and I just feel we need to offer some more community services for our younger generation and even our older citizens, where they have a place where they can go outdoors and enjoy the area.
You're way over your time, sir, if you don't mind my saying.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. St. James, if you'd like to give your opening statement, and Adam tells me you're all set.
Hey, my name is Kevin St. James. Me and my wife moved to the town of Kingston in 1994, choosing this as our community that we wanted to raise a family in. I purchased my house in 95, had my first child in 96, and volunteered for the Kingston Fire Department. And that's how in 97, and that's how I got involved with the town of Kingston and did that for quite some time. But while doing that, I learned about a lot of the different politics in the town of Kingston, and I wanted to get involved. So I ran and was on the budget committee for 7 years. And then I turned that and ran for school board, did that for 3 years. Then me and my wife took a hiatus after our second child was born, and we started a business in the town of Kingston that we ran for 8 years. Then I decided it was time to get back involved in politics and was a state rep for the town of Kingston for 2 years. Then I switched over to county government, where to me, it brought back the fact that all politics is local and you can do more locally. So I was a county commissioner for the last 6 years. Then when the select board opened up to a 5-member seat, I felt I could bring something to the board of selectmen. I did that. And we do have a great board of selectmen. We all are independent voices that harmonize together. When we came in, though, we realized all of us, there was no policies, procedures in place, and we've worked hard to establish policies and procedures. And I just feel, I love this town, and I want to continue in the role I'm doing to help the town. It's real easy to sit on Facebook and post opinions, but it's another thing when you're in the trenches and doing it. I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So I hope I've been in the public life enough that people know what I'm like. I'm accessible, answerable, and accountable. I maintain a landline for people to call me and talk to me, and I'd like to do it for another 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start the questioning next. Again, each candidate will have 1 minute for a reply. You'll be unmuted when it's your turn and muted when your time is up. And we're going to start with a question for both the school district budget committee, and then it will also then be for the municipal budget committee. So the question is, what in your background and education makes you qualified to be in the budget committee? In this instance, Ms. Mateus is first.
Hi. So I don't have a background or an education in budget committee, but I've served on the board the last 2 years. So I have a little bit of a learning curve in terms of getting familiar with the school budget, intimately reviewing it, and just understanding it and meeting with multiple people within the district and learning it in, as much as I can. So I was able to find an error in the school budget, one of the few errors that was made. So I feel like I do really review it, and I do a really good job in terms of trying to understand as much as I can. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Anthony, it would be your turn now to answer the same question. And let me just also say, if anyone needs me to repeat the questions, please let me know. Mr. Anthony, since we're having a little trouble with your sound, if you could speak loudly for us. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I have 15 years experience working with municipal budgets, 5 years working with school budgets, and I've also worked with other budgets that I ran myself. My school budget was 19 million back in the early 80s. The town budget for North Andover was 30 million. The budget I worked for with the psychological center was over 5 million. And I understand the concept. I understand fund accounting as opposed to business accounting. And I just feel that I can bring that expertise to the panel and make good decisions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll repeat the question for the Municipal Budget Committee, but it's going to be the same question, which is what in your background in education makes you qualified to be on the Budget Committee? Mr. Hilfer, you are up first this time. You're all set. Is Mr. Hilfer still here? I do not see him. Do you see him, Adam?
Hi. Hey, Ellen, this is Leonard. Sorry, I was on mute there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned previously, I serve as a program manager right now for Raytheon Integrated Defense Systems. I have an annual budget accountability of $125 million across several programs. And basically what I do on a day-to-day basis is I manage the scope, schedule, and cost performance of each of our contracts. And these are for systems that protect entire nations, specifically the Patriot missile system. Again, in my education, I have a master's in business administration, and I graduated in the top of my class, and I have a pretty strong command of finance, accounting, planning, general management, leadership. And I feel like I'm able to make a positive contribution to the overall Kingston community based on my experience.
Thank you. Ms. Tidd, you're next. Adam?
Yep. Okay. Okay. So I do own a small business, which means that I have to make my own budget and keep to that budget. Otherwise, I get upside down, and that would not be a good thing. So I do have experience with finding new solutions, and I think that that is important to bring to a budget committee. I might not have the experience of working with $100,000 budget or $1 million budget, but finding those little pieces of money where you can save money and bringing a little bit of creativity to a board would serve well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Tilton?
Yes, thanks. So yeah, I too have and manage a small business for a number of years, both presently and in a small business with construction. I currently serve as the treasurer for the Conservation Commission, so I have at least some experience directly in the town with managing budget for one department and sort of going through before the budget committee overall and presenting that issue. I've worked for, again, federal agency where having to manage dollars specifically and to spend and to be able to also be creative in figuring out how to get what you want when funds are tighter than you'd like them to be. I also have a background in fundraising, significant money as well. So aware of the finances and have a couple of higher education degrees that with background in understanding finance. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now we have a question for the Board of Selectmen. What town committees have you served on, or what community involvement have you participated in that gives you the skills to be a selectman? Mr. Doyle, you're first. Wait, oh, wait a minute. Didn't I? Did I miss somebody? Ms. Dion?
Thank you.
Sorry, my bad, everyone, I apologize.
No problem. my educational background, I have an undergraduate degree in chemical engineering and a master's in engineering management. I spent the last 20 years managing quality and regulatory for large pharmaceutical and small startup companies, where we would have a budget and have to manage it and work with regulatory agencies and within those constraints. And so I feel that I could have the educational background and understanding of how to get a budget, how to manage the budget, and how to make sure we're doing the right thing. Thank you.
My apologies again for that.
No problem.
I was looking up how to pronounce your name correctly and completely went right by it. Okay. So again, now a question for the Board of Selectmen. What town committees have you served on, or what community involvement have you participated in that gives you the skills to be a selectman? Mr. Doyle, you're up first in this question, and Adam says you're all set.
As far as committees, I haven't been involved in any committees here in Kingston, but in previous communities I've lived in. I've been involved in a lot of school safety programs. I was on the Presidential Safety Board, so I was an advisor for the St. Louis, Missouri School District. Did a little bit of that here in the Sanborn Regional School District. Very active in the scouting community. I have a son that's in Scouts. I was a scout myself. You know, just I would like to be more active in some of the historic committees here in town. I live in the Josiah Bartlett, so the Josiah Bartlett House, so I have a very high interest in the history that takes place here in Kingston. But nothing directly in the town of Kingston.
Thank you. Mr. St. James? Give me one sec. You're all set?
Okay, as I listed before, politically, I have been on the budget committee, the school board, a state rep, county commissioner, and current selectman. But also back in the day, I volunteered on the fire department when it wasn't paid, and got training as a firefighter and turned it into a full certification and served this town 3 years as a firefighter and EMT. Since then, I advanced and went to the town of Exeter, where I'm currently a firefighter, AEMT. But most recently, I co-chaired for the 325th, the bonfire and beer fest for the town of Kingston. I've always been involved in some role in different committees and activities. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Coombs? We're all set.
I should have been ready for that. So my first 2 years, I served as a selectman's rep to the planning board. Prior to that, we did live in Fremont. Unfortunately, with a farm, I wanted to move back to Kingston sooner, but I can't take a cape with 2 acres with the number of critters we got going on. So I did serve on the planning board in Fremont. As far as qualifications for that, you know, I would say the Board of Selectmen, there's never a meeting that's the same. And I think my experiences in life have prepared me for pretty much anything that can be thrown at me. Like, you know, a pandemic hitting and suddenly we have to close off the town hall and figure that all out. And our old go-to response of checking with other towns wasn't really a good one. So we, you know, I'm always willing to take new ideas and you know, make a decision based on those. And I think that's one of the biggest skills that prepares me to, you know, continue to serve in this position.
Thank you. Okay, we have a school budget committee question coming up. So for the school budget committee, what is your position on the elimination of 8.5 staff positions in the proposed school district budget? Mr. Anthony, you're first for this.
Thank you. Many New Hampshire school districts are facing declining enrollments. Sanborn lost 400.
Mr. Anthony, I'm going to ask you to speak just a little bit louder so everyone can hear your answer.
Many New Hampshire school districts are facing declining enrollments. Sanborn lost 400 students in the last 10 years. In 2018, Sanborn commissioned an enrollment study by NESDEC that predicted the district would lose another 400 students over the next 4 years. Given these declines, we have no choice but to reduce staff proportionately. My information to date is that all reductions have been by attrition.
Thank you. And now Ms. Mateus, you're all set?
Thank you. I'll be honest, I had some concerns with decreasing staff at the school level. Within the budget committee hearings, you can mention, you can hear some of my concerns with some of the positions they were choosing to eliminate. You know, given the fact that we haven't been able to fully implement intervention within the district. And we just went through redistricting and we're in the middle of a pandemic. I would have preferred to have seen the district sort of let the dust settle a little bit and let intervention roll out, determine what positions they need and sort of regroup. You know, from a business standpoint, you know, I managed a team and I couldn't imagine, you know, completely reshifting roles within my team and, you know, making major changes and then not letting those changes play out before I decide to start laying people off. So, or eliminating positions. So I had some concerns with it.
Okay, thank you. Now we have a question for the Municipal Budget Committee. It's a little lengthy. As a Budget Committee member, your recommendations, coupled with those of other members, affect how voters perceive the relative value of supporting the overall budget and various individual warrant articles. What steps would you take to gain an overall understanding of the functions and expected outcomes of the various town departments, committee, and boards so that you can make sound recommendations? And we go to Ms. Tidd first.
Okay. So I think the biggest step would be to be available and to listen. One of the great advantages of living in a town like Kingston is that it is a small town where a lot of people know each other. And going to those committees, if I have questions, to just ask, to be willing to admit what you don't know and find out what the answer is. And that means listening to every side. So I think that being open to every side, listening to what those positions are, and then taking that information and giving the recommendations.
Thank you. Mr. Tilton? 1 second. You're all set.
Thank you. Yeah, as I said in my opening statement, I think that bringing curiosity to the process of the budget committee is essential. I think that the two things of asking questions and listening and making sure that people feel like they're heard and connecting with one another so that there's actually a process to synthesize information and make sure that people feel heard. I think that's one of the biggest things that, you know, we're struggling as a society and is essential that we be heard and we create relationships with people so that we understand one another and we can argue our points and be heard and come to a consensus around different decisions.
Thank you. And now we have Ms. Dion.
I think that is a great question. It's part of the reason why I wanted to be on the budget committee, is to understand every aspect of the town and what those departments are, and to meet people in the town and understand how it works and have a conversation with those departments and what they do and how they do it in order to make recommendations of every aspect. So I think we need to understand what the department does, what the services are, where the benefits are, if there are any opportunities for a better way to do things, and look for those better ways and be able to recommend what the departments and what they've given us to make things better for the town of Kingston. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Mr. Hilfer.
Thank you, Ellen. I think we'd have to first consider what data is available to us, analyze that, and establish a baseline. Once we've done that, I think we'd also have to consider if these initiatives were rolled out in other towns, if there are best practices that we can observe and implement in our own budget or operations, and use that to make informed decisions.
Thank you. Now a question for the Board of Selectmen. What are the 3 major improvements or issues in town government you'd like to see addressed in the next 3 to 5 years, and how would you help to affect those changes? Mr. St. James, you're first.
Number one is to get a bank back into Kingston, now that TD Bank has said they're pulling out. Number 2, I would say, is establishing policies and procedures for the select board. When we came in, there really wasn't any. We've since refined the going out to bid policy, policies for right to know, policies for putting stuff on the cable channel. We just been inundated with different stuff that we're trying to get done. As everyone knows now, all town meetings are being recorded and archived. We're still working on an audio system. We went to the voters asking for acoustical tiles to help the sound in the town hall, and that got voted down by the taxpayers. So we're still working to find an amenable solution that is affordable for the taxpayers. But that's it. It's just trying to establish policies and procedures. But my number one goal is to get another bank back in the town of Kingston. I think it's a cornerstone for a community.
Thank you. Mr. Coombs. You're all set. Are you all set?
Yep. So I would say the top 3 that I try and look at things that are going to be ongoing costs or ongoing issues as we move forward. And one of the biggest ones I see is we spend over $500,000 on our solid waste and recycling disposal fees. I think it's $538,000 we're slated to spend this year. I think everybody notices how many more delivery trucks there are, and they have cardboard boxes on top of cardboard boxes, and our recycling costs have gone through the roof. It's not going to be sustainable moving forward. So one of the things I've been researching is getting a transfer station to handle recycling in the town, just something to address that and try a pilot project to figure out if that's going to make a dent in that number. And then just keep working on that issue. The second issue I would say is employee retention. And we are very fortunate that we have some great employees in the town, but I think we need to make sure that we're developing our employees and paying them appropriate wages, because as a business owner, I can tell you that it is very, very hard to find quality people that you can retain. And that's one of the biggest things we need to do, is just to hold on to top people and plan succession in there. One of the things that's coming up right now, Article 11 is a code enforcement officer. That will start as a code enforcement officer, but will be the full-time building inspector once our building inspector retires. So that's a seamless transition. This person can shadow our current building inspector and fall into that role. And
Mr. Coombs, I hate to interrupt you, but I tried to give you as much time as I could, but thank you. Okay, we have another question for the school board. What? Oh, I keep checking people off ahead of time. I apologize, Mr. Doyle.
No problem.
Mr. Doyle.
Well, 3 of the things I would like to do is promote small business growth within the community here. The other thing I'd like to do is promote young families to come back into the community here. Our student populations are dropping in the school system, and it'd be nice to see young families back in here with kids again. One of the things working at the school system is it's afforded me is that when talking with these young kids, they want to leave town, or they want to go away to school and live somewhere else. And there needs to be some type of incentive for them to come back to this community and start their families and start their lives here in Kingston as adults. I'd like to expand our parks and playgrounds, make them more accessible for for our older community that can get in that are wheelchair bound or have issues with mobility to use these parks. I'd like to have more parks for the toddlers in the area also. The Plains is a beautiful area, in downtown Kingston. I know there's a master plan. The master plan was drawn up in 2007, and it's getting to be 15 years old. I'd like to just push some other things along within this master plan, and with the COVID and everything, like I said earlier, it's time to really make some changes in the community and keep these people in the community and outside and healthy.
Thank you. Okay, I've got everyone now, right? Okay. This is for the school board budget committee. One of your responsibilities is to appoint members to fill vacant budget committee positions. What criteria will you look for to fill that position, and will you consider your opponent for that position? Ms. Mateus, you're first.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, God. So I'm sorry, repeat the question because I was.
Sure. It's okay, no problem.
Sorry.
One of your responsibilities is to appoint members to fill vacant budget committee positions. What criteria will you look for to fill that position, and will you consider your opponent for that position?
Good. Okay. My personal criteria, I mean, listen, I've always been an advocate that, if people run for certain positions and there's an open position on a committee, that, that person should be seriously considered. They put the effort in, they ran for the position, and, if somebody chooses to leave, then they should be seriously considered. I think for me, I want somebody that's really going to contribute, not just kind of follow along other board members. I want somebody that is really going to think for themselves and have their own opinion, and, not just go along with other people just for the sake of, they know more than they do, ask questions, get involved, learn what you need to do, and don't be afraid to speak against them. Even if you have like-minded opinions, don't be afraid to speak out and speak your own truth. So that's really what I'll look for in a candidate.
Thank you. Mr. Anthony? Just a moment. You're all set.
Okay, I'm going to try again. I'm going to have to yell.
Again, remember, Mr. Anthony, to speak loudly and into your microphone. Oh, now. Mr. Anthony, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Turn it up. Okay,
Are you speaking now?
I'm trying. Can you hear me?
Okay.
My video isn't there yet.
We don't care about your video.
Consider my opponent. Okay. Yes, I would consider my opponent as a candidate for an open position. I would consider anyone who has prior experience on the committee to be a very valuable member of that committee. That was the question, right? What do I consider my opponent?
Sure. And the other part of it was, what criteria would you look for to fill that position?
Well, in the case of my years experience, so that says a lot for her, and that would bring back a lot to the committee. Otherwise, I would look for someone who understands municipal accounting and understands the accounting system in the school department.
Well, it's gone, I guess, as good as it could go.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. You all set? Okay, for the Municipal Budget Committee, same question. So I will reread it. One of your responsibilities is to appoint members to fill vacant budget committee positions. What criteria will you look for to fill that position, and will you consider your opponent for that position? And the first question goes to Mr. Tilton.
Sure. So it seems like there's some good people that are running based on tonight. So I'd be interested in supporting different, I guess, I don't know if we're opponents, but who are running here tonight. So it seems like some bright people. So I think that, being open is a criteria. having some passion about being involved with what you're doing and being active in the process. I think bringing curiosity and any experience that is relevant to managing money would be a criteria that I would look at.
Okay. And now for Ms. Dion. Give me one. Adam? You're all set.
I think that everyone running here would probably make a great fit on the budget committee. So I would obviously recommend any of the people who are running for the budget committee. I think that for criteria, I think interest in the town of Kingston and wanting to participate in the democratic process and to be open-minded and to recommend what they want to see and what is best for the town of Kingston. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hilfer? You're all set?
Thank you, Ellen. I would absolutely consider voting for one of the other candidates that are on tonight. I think for myself, capturing strategic long-term growth opportunities that increase revenue without raising the tax burden and making us an even more desirable location, preserving the character of the town, ensuring access to high-quality public education for our kids, which I think in itself makes our town a more desirable location and ensures continuity of revenue streams because people want to live and raise their families here. I think that would be my position and something I would consider for anybody that I'd vote for.
Thank you. And Ms. Tidd? And Adam says you're all set.
Okay. So like the other candidates, I would definitely consider one of them to fill the position. I think when someone signs up to be a candidate, that shows a certain level of commitment, and that should be respected. As far as what I would look for in filling an open spot, it really would depend on who was on the current committee. I would want to look at what we as a committee held collectively, and if we had any needs on the committee, who would fit best, who had the experience that we didn't have as a committee that could maybe add to the committee to make it a better committee. So I think that would be an important part in addition to the passion and the knowledge and the resume.
Okay. Thank you. Now for the Board of Selectmen. If you don't win your race for selectmen and a position becomes vacant on the Budget Committee, how would you feel about volunteering to serve on the Municipal Budget Committee? And we have Mr. Coombs is first.
I crunch enough numbers with my own business that I don't need to crunch the town's numbers. If I was not chosen by the people to serve again, I would find another more suited board or committee that could use my talents. I plan on continuing to serve the town in any capacity that I'm needed in.
Thank you. And Mr. Doyle? You're all set.
Well, I would have to agree with Mr. Coombs there. I don't think a budget committee is quite the right fit for me. I would pursue other avenues to help in the community, but a budget committee just doesn't appeal to me.
Okay. And Mr. St. James? And says you're all set.
I actually spent 7 years on the budget committee, and from that moved on to other positions. When I was actually on the budget committee, it was an established budget committee, and it was actually contested races in it all the time. It is sad that people don't participate in the community as much as they used to on local boards, whether it's a planning board, budget committee, conservation, trustees, and trust fund. All these different boards are always looking for people. The short answer is if there was a need for me to be on a budget committee, I would not be opposed to it. I've been, as the last 3 years as selectman, a liaison to the budget committee and sat on it that way. But if there was a need, I wouldn't be opposed to filling in anywhere was needed in town.
Thank you. Okay. We have another question for the school district budget committee. Excuse me, I'm trying to get my clock going. Okay. Being on a committee, you may not agree with the majority decision on a recommendation or may have to deal with disagreeing with peers. How will you handle this type of situation? Mr. Anthony, you're up first. Is he still here? I don't see Mr. Anthony anymore. If he comes back, I have no problem with re-asking the question for him. He may just be having trouble with his connection. So at this point, we'll go to Ms. Mateus to answer the question. Ms. Mateus.
Thank you. You know, I don't think everybody's going to agree on everything. I think the most important thing, and I'll say this to anybody, is help me understand the why. You know, if I don't agree with you, you know, help me understand why it is that you feel one way or another, or what needs to be done. I think that's the most important thing, is just learning to listen to people and understanding, and, you know, and eventually there's some sort of compromise, I think, that can come to it. There was a second part to that question. I'm sorry.
It was, you may not agree and you may have to deal with disagreeing with peers. And how will you handle the type of situation if there was a significant disagreement with the peers on your committee?
Significant, I think, oh God, I'm sort of stumped, but I always try to talk things out with people and try to get people to meet on a common ground. And as long as you at least, you know, listen to why I feel about the way that I do. I'm not answering it very well. I'm sorry, but it's bound to happen. So I think as long as we all stay civil, we understand, I may still at the end of the day not agree with the decision that was made by the group, and that's okay. I mean, that's a part of life. It doesn't mean that I'm going to change my position. I'll still feel the same way that I feel about it. So, sorry.
I believe Mr. Anthony may be back. Thank you, Ms. Mateus.
Thank you.
So I believe I see Mr. Anthony back. So Adam says you're unmuted, Mr. Anthony. Did you hear me ask the question, or would you like me to repeat it?
Would you please repeat it?
Sure. Being on a committee, you may not agree with the majority decision on a recommendation or may have to deal with disagreeing with peers, which is sometimes a significant disagreement. How will you handle this type of situation?
I would present my opinion and I would eventually agree with the majority. The whole purpose of the committee is to be able to talk about different ideas and different issues that come up and then come to a common agreement that benefits the school department and benefits the students.
Thank you.
Yep.
Make sure we got them all. Okay, for the municipal budget committee, going to be the same question. So again, it's being on a committee, you may not agree with the majority decision on a recommendation or may have to deal with disagreeing with peers, which may be significant disagreement. How will you handle this type of situation? And I've lost track of who's next. Give me 1 second. What? Okay, so Ms. Dion is next. Do we?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that being on a committee, there are bound to be disagreements. I think you may or may not be in the majority in everyday life, and you have to be understanding and work with everyone to make sure that everyone is heard and that their opinions are valuable, and to work with them if you don't understand a position, to keep an open mind and just be there as part of the process and to work together as a team.
Thank you. Mr. Hilfer is next.
Thank you, Ellen. I think in any type of disagreement, I try to understand the underlying assumptions that the opposite position is based on and weigh these against what I believe are in the interest of the town. I'd reach back also to other members who are more experienced, where I'm coming into this sort of from outside the political realm or the town political realm, and get a better understanding of what the impact of the decision might be, and or who it might impact. We'll try and leverage some of the experience of other members.
Thank you. Ms. Tidd, you're next.
Good. So disagreements happen all the time, but the biggest thing about any time that you have a disagreement, whether it's in a workplace or on a committee, is that you have to remain respectful, and that you respect the other person's opinion, regardless of what that is. With that said, I think making sure that everyone on the committee is heard, that all sides are heard. If we need to go back and get more information so that we can get to the foundation of what that decision actually is and what the repercussions of that decision is, then that needs to be done. But to make sure that everyone is heard and that everyone is respected.
Thank you. And Mr. Tilton. Mr. Tilton, I think you may have muted yourself.
I think I was trying to unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, similar responses. I think one of the things with a disagreement and conflict is, right, it actually also represents an opportunity for deeper clarification, deeper understanding, and working through, so, sort of the assumptions that are brought or the conflicts that are brought. So, the first step would be to try to go deeper with the process when there is conflict. The second piece is, again, I would say similarly, is having respect around the process and respect for the other people. I would expect there to be disagreements. I would expect to not be in the majority, all the time. And that is a part of life and coming to agreements, but also working to support one another, because it's a hard process to put that budget together. And I know how hard the committee works in that process. So really trying to keep that respect and for one another and the people I may disagree with in that process. Thanks.
Thank you. The remaining questions are going to be for the Board of Selectmen. So I think that what I may do is ask the School District Budget Committee members to give their closing statements now, if they so choose. And Adam, who's next? Just did Tilton, so it must be. I mean, it would be Matthias. Okay, thank you. So Ms. Mateus, would you like to give your closing statement?
Sure. I just want to say thank you to everybody that submitted the questions. They were really great questions. I think it's good to get an understanding of the different folks that are running and, how we perceive different things. And, I hope you got a good flavor of who I am as a person and what I stand for. And listen, I say to everybody, I don't care how you vote, just vote. So get involved. Our community could use a lot of people. There's a lot of hands that are needed out there, and, make sure you get out there and vote.
Thank you. And Mr. Anthony? Would you like to close?
Yep. Thank you. I'm in a different position in that I'm going to be running on a write-in ballot. I would sure appreciate the people who could take the time to write my name, Ken Anthony, in on the ballot. I think I bring a lot of experience to the budget committee. I am a team player. My goal is to make sure that our students get the best education that we can give them, while at the same time maintaining a tax rate that's livable here in Kingston. I appreciate the privilege to talk tonight and all you've done for us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And now for the Municipal Budget Committee. Anyone? I thought I heard somebody. Okay. Mr. Hilfer, if you'd like to give your closing statement now.
Thank you, Ellen. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that I decided to throw my hat in the ring after I noticed that one of the positions was going unfilled. You know, I'm on Facebook. I see, you know, people complaining about this, that, and the other thing, but I decided to step up and do it as opposed to complaining on the internet. I think this is a you know, something that I'm interested in doing. I own several acres of land in the town. Like I said, I've got 3 kids, so I definitely have skin in the game. And I hope I'm able to add a different perspective and add value to the town budget committee if I am elected. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Ms. Tidd, you're next.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for putting this night together. Thank you to the other candidates. I think this was a great opportunity for us to put out what we're about and what our goals are. As a member of the budget committee, I would look forward to, like I said, maintaining the environment, the atmosphere that we have in Kingston and working to improve that, but also bring a cautious eye to keeping things as low in cost as we possibly can. And I would look forward to working with the different committees and to do the best that we can in all of those different departments. So I look forward to hopefully fulfilling that role. And like Vanessa said earlier, doesn't matter who you vote for, just get out and vote. And I encourage people to do that, to vote, because getting involved in the town is important and a worthwhile cause.
Thank you. Mr. Tilton?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ellen, for hosting and putting the night together as well. And for all the volunteers and all the people that are running for office. I appreciate that. That's what makes our community work. Again, I'm running because I like to serve. I think it's important for all of us in some capacity in our community. We have a great town, and I look forward to, if I get to be on the budget committee, to be able to help in that capacity to, you know, make Kingston better and more livable for all of us. So thank you, and thanks for considering me as a candidate.
Thank you. And Ms. Dion?
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone who attended and looking into the future of Kingston. I think that this is a great community to live in, and I would like to try to make this an even better community. I appreciate everyone's time tonight and hearing out all the candidates, and hopefully I can get your vote on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the rest of the questions are for the Board of Selectmen. And the first one is, do you think it is a conflict of interest for the Select Board to appoint a member of that board to fill a paid position in the town without posting it to the public first? Mr. Doyle, question is first to you.
No, I think it needs to be posted and open to the public. I think there definitely needs to be transparency in that.
Okay. Mr. St. James.
There should always, I feel we've always worked with transparency. There was an open position that was filled by someone who's qualified, and it was put out there. People knew of it. It was before we came on. The person mentioned they were looking to retire. But I think we've always handled everything, or at least my 3 years on, we've been very transparent.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Coombs? Here you go.
I've always pushed for multiple bids. I think as many options as we have in front of us, we can make the best decision. So I'm not quite sure what someone's talking about with not having an advertised position, but you know, it may be in an interim basis or something like that, but I always want to have the best qualified person and from the widest pool, from a job opportunity to a request for proposal to anything. You know, options are good.
No clue.
Okay, thank you.
I think I got an idea.
There's somebody who's speaking and I can't tell who's not muted. So if y'all check your own thing to make sure that I think you're muted and you may not be. So, okay. The next question for the Board of Selectmen is warrant Article 12 requests $6,333 for Southern Rockingham Coalition for Healthy Youth Substance Abuse Prevention and Mental Health Awareness Work in the Schools. Do you support this article? And first is Mr. St. James.
I'm one of the selectmen that did not support it. And at the deliberative session, I spoke out why I didn't support it. What they do is incredible work. You're right, we can't spend enough money trying to keep our kids safe and off drugs or preventing suicide. But when you only have limited funds, it's a new organization, and this would put them as the second largest social service person the town would pay, organization the town would pay. I think Meals on Wheels does an incredible job for our elderly, and they don't even get paid half that amount. I would have supported it had it been level funded at last year's at $3,000, but I could not see it at $6,000. I understand why they came to the town, charged it per capita. I just couldn't support it at that funding, but I do support their cause, and I would have supported them at the 3,000 mark.
Thank you. Mr. Coombs? And you're all set.
Yeah, I also was opposed to this, and for the reason that Kevin brought up, it was at a much higher rate than previously. But the other side that kind of I felt didn't sit quite right with me is there's an office in the school that this organization has. They're potentially receiving school funding, so it seemed like double dipping to me. I mean, I don't know what's next. Are we going to start sponsoring sports teams for the school through town warrant articles? It just seemed kind of messy to me. The school stuff should stay with the school, and town stuff should stay with the town.
Thank you. And Mr. Doyle?
Unfortunately, I don't know all the details of the issues here, but I do know the SOROC program there, and they do wonderful things with the students and in the community. I definitely endorse their program, but I just don't know the details on what took place as far as the budgeting for that.
Thank you. And then we have a question. If the code enforcement officer warrant article fails at the polls, how will you ensure strong compliance with the town's ordinances and regulations? And I believe Mr. Coombs is first. Oh, wait a minute. Did I forget someone? No, he was first last time. I have this out of order. So be Mr. Coombs would be first this time.
I don't quite know how we're going to meet the demands that we have. I mean, the select board is spending approximately 60% of our time doing enforcement related actions. I don't think that this position was meant to be a cop in town and to be following up on people. The purpose of this position is so that there is a dedicated person who can handle these things. We have a lot of issues with people taking advantage of the fact that we have no one watching, and to rely on 5 volunteers who can sometimes get there, sometimes can. It draws it out for weeks. And if it's an urgent situation, we can't get to it. The other side of it is we have a federal mandate that is a new thing that we have to take care of. And short of hiring an engineering firm for $100,000 a year, we're still going to need a building inspector on top of that. So I don't think we're going to be able to meet our commitments if we don't pass Article 11.
Thank you. Mr. Doyle?
Yeah, I concur with Mr. Coombs. We definitely need someone in that position. The article has got to pass. I think we're asking a lot from the selectmen right now as far as what their duties are, and there is a real need for this position.
Thank you. And Mr. St. James?
This is one that the the 5 selectmen stand unanimous on, as long as I've been on the board and as long as Mr. Coombs has been on there, the single thing we have always been doing is chasing developers and issues with building ordinances. Everyone has the best intentions to do stuff, but when it comes down to the final wire, everyone wants to cut corners and save money. This is the single thing that's tying up all the selectmen, trying to enforce ordinances and codes, and this would help a lot of different people and save money on our legal fees that we pay going after people that cause problems. This is not for the homeowner that's doing something small. We're not looking to pull tape measures out for a dog house or a shed. This is for large scale developments. Now that the town is responsible for MS4 through the highway department, this could cost us thousands of dollars if we go unchecked. It cost the town of Plastow over $500,000 in fines for not following the MS4 regulations, and we don't want to get caught in that same boat.
Thank you. This is our final question before we have the selectmen's final statements. And the question is, why do you want to be a selectman? And it goes to Mr. Doyle.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I think I bring a lot of new ideas to this community. I have a big background in emergency and crisis management, fiscally responsible. I'm extremely honest and transparent. Anybody that works with me currently will tell you that if they ask me a question, I give them an honest answer. You know, I don't have family or friends that live within 450 miles from here, so I believe my decisions to be very non-biased and very logical rather than based on emotion. And I think that's what Kingston needs now is transparency and a little bit of logic. And that's why I feel like I would make an excellent selectman.
Thank you. Mr. St. James?
I would like to do another term for the simple fact we have a lot of things that we have started as a board. The board currently, there's no voting block on the board. There is 5 independent people and we all bring something to the table. And I like the way it gels that way. There needs to be some stability so we can continue on setting up policies, procedures, retention of employees, and other things that this board has started that needed to be done. We are moving in the 21st century with technology, and we need to continue that. And I just think I still have more stuff to do for the town, and I look forward to another term.
And Mr. Coombs?
Well, like I said, I was born here, and everything goes right, I'll be dying here. I am committed to being in this town for the rest of my life. And as I'm rebuilding my property, rebuilding this farm, it's kind of short-sighted to think that the town around it isn't included in that. And so having a voice and trying to help out on the local government level, you know, trying to make policies that work, keep our taxes down, and, you know, continue to make Kingston a great place. That's why I want to continue to be a selectman. We've had a lot of turnover on the board. You know, it's a completely new board in the past 3 years. A lot of new people in town government. And I think some continuity in that and continuing to work on the things that we've been working on is why I want to continue to serve.
Thank you. It is now time for the selectmen's final statements, and we start with Mr. St. James.
Okay, I'd like to take a second to thank you, Ms. Faulkner, for doing this, and a shout out to Adam in the control booth because he's proven once again to be a valuable asset. And I want to thank all the people that participated and listened in on this. I can tell you out of all the elected office elected positions that I've held, being a selectman has been the single hardest one. It's not easy to sit there and say no to people. Not to say no to be mean, but because it's right for the town. It was 8 months into my first term when we're at a meeting and I had to look at 4 different people on 3 different subject matters and say no to them. And these are people I knew, people that I respected, people that I go to for opinions. And I left that meeting seriously questioning if I had the heart for it, because I just looked at 4 people I knew and said no to them. And then I contemplated and realized that that's why I am there. I'm not there to kowtow to anyone or to show favoritism. It's to do what's right for the town. And the answers that I gave that night of no were the correct answers and proved to be the right answers. So it's not for the faint of heart to be a selectman. I feel I've proven myself to be an independent voice. I have no hidden agenda. And I realized a long time ago that God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth. And that's why I tend to listen more than I speak. And I seek out expert opinion and community opinion before I do anything. I truly enjoy helping and serving my town of Kingston. And I humbly ask for the community to give me their vote one more time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. St. James. Mr. Coombs, you're next.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody who has volunteered to even, be considered to be of service to the town and the community. It's a great thing, and there's not enough of it. And I'm really happy that we can have everybody here tonight in this forum to discuss these issues. And I mean, I'm not a politician. I say it combines 2 of my least favorite things: talking about myself and asking people for a favor. But I do feel that I bring value to the board and a different perspective, and I've been committed to the role. I have not missed a single meeting in the 3 years that I've been on the board. I've been at every single selectman meeting. And more than anything, I've tried to be open to people. I always want to hear people's perspective, people's ideas. But at the end of the day, when a decision needs to be made, I will always be guided by what is in the best interest of the town. In the long term, what will be the best for the town? And that's always going to guide me in my decision-making process. And I would just appreciate being considered to be reelected. And also I ask your support on Article 11 for the Code Enforcement Officer.
Thank you. And Mr. Doyle?
I'd also like to just thank everybody involved in this, their time and patience. When I had the opportunity to retire, the government said I could live anywhere in the United States. And I've been in New Hampshire quite a few times working the primaries and always had a fondness and love for this area. So when my time came to pick a community, this is what my wife and I chose. We love this area. It's deep in, family and American traditions and history. And I just can't think of a finer community in the area. With that being said, I think I have a lot I can contribute to the community. And I'm just looking for your vote and supporting your vote. And I'll do my damnedest to do what I think is right and honest. And I just appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you all. I too would like to thank everyone who sent in questions and thank the candidates for participating. Having participated in this kind of forum before, it's not always easy. So I appreciate everyone's efforts this evening. I want to let everyone know that absentee voting information is available on the town clerk's website. Tammy's very efficient in making sure all the information anyone needs about voting is there and available for everyone. Voting is on Tuesday, March 9th. I want to remind everybody of that. And other than that, I want to thank you all for attending this evening and participating. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night, everyone.